You bet.
Brand new effort underway to put a teenager behind bars after he killed 4 people while driving drunk. Ethan Couch is his name, was given probation after the defense argued he suffered from affluenza, claiming his wealthy family never taught him his actions would have consequences. Now that prosecutor considering a plan to seek jail time for the assault. Anne-Marie McAvoy is a former federal prosecutor. Anna Yum is a criminal defense attorney. And ladies, good morning to both of you and welcome
morning,
here.
Bill.
Anne-Marie is a former federal prosecutor. What do you think? Is this even possible?
It's absurd. I mean, nowhere is there a definition for affluenza other than some witness who testified that that's his view, and he basically admits he made up the word, and he now says he wishes he hadn't because it's kind of stuck with everybody. To have somebody claim that because they have too much wealth, they can't tell the difference between right and wrong is just, it's beyond comprehension.
Yeah, I understand that, but now the prosecutor's looking for a redo.
Right.
Is that even possible?
It's a little unusual what he's trying to do. Apparently there has been a verdict, an official verdict on 4 of the counts, which were the murder counts, the manslaughter counts, the intoxication manslaughter to be exact. Now what they're trying to do is there are 2 open counts. They're not officially closed relating to the intoxication assault. Those are the 2 people who were in critical condition, one of whom now is paralyzed. And now what the prosecutor is saying is there hasn't been an official verdict on that. Let's get a sentence on those 2 charges now, separate from the other charges.
You're arguing it is possible?
I think it is possible.
Anna,
it may be a little bit of a technicality, but
Anna,
I think it is possible.
Do you think it's possible?
Well, it might be possible, Bill, but I don't think it's likely. Look, I understand why people are outraged by the sentence, but if you look from a legal perspective, I think it's highly unlikely that Ethan Couch is going to get a harsher sentence for the 2 lesser counts of intoxication assault. If you think about it, courts are not supposed to let their decisions be swayed or their sentencing decisions to be swayed by public opinion or outcry. So if this were to happen, and if Judge Boyd were to sentence Ethan Couch to a harsher sentence, I think perhaps you could make the argument that she was swayed by public outcry.
Yeah.
And not only that,
think,
Bill, but
yeah, all right, continue. Make your last point, sorry.
But my point is that you can't keep prosecuting someone for the same crime or the facts or circumstances arising out of the same crime once someone's been sentenced. A judge typically takes the primary charge, and then that primary charge typically has the heaviest penalty, and then the judge goes downwards. It's not the other way around. I just don't see it happening, and if it does, I think the defense has a good issue on appeal.
Right. Anne-Marie, one of the witnesses, a psychologist in this case, right? He argued that the kid had been coddled and was never really taught right from wrong.
Right.
Why do you think the judge bought that argument?
You know, the judge may have felt sorry for the kid. The parents said, look, we have this wonderful place in California. It costs $450,000 a year. The state obviously isn't going to have a facility like this where he could get the same level of treatment. So therefore, let's send him to this wonderful place in California. And the reality is essentially what the judge has done is supported what this psychologist said, which is that he's been coddled and doesn't know the right from wrong. And now the judge has said, well, okay, because your parents have money, you don't have to go to jail. You don't have to face any of the consequences. In Texas, you can go to this fancy, probably very nice, comfortable place instead, which really isn't certainly the purpose of a sentence. On the other hand, this judge may have looked at this kid, said he's very young looking, you know, they want to get him into treatment, they want to try to help him, they don't want to make him into a hardened criminal. So I'm sure the judge probably went at it with good intentions. But it's just this, obviously there's a backlash, there's a potential for this being precedent then in other cases, in other states.
You believe it's highly unlikely the judge is going to give him a harsher sentence, right? I mean, that's what you told our producers earlier. You stand by that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that he may, the likelihood is that, you know, if this is the way the judge feels, this is the way the judge feels. But there has been a lot of media attention, and sometimes judges certainly can reconsider. They can realize that they may have been wrong, and this judge may in fact do that and say, you know what, there should be some level of jail sentence included in this.
Anna, do you agree with that?
No, I don't. I don't see that happening at all. I think the judge is going to stick with her original decision and the rationale behind her original decision, especially in light of all the facts that she's seen and, of course, applying the law to the facts. I agree to a certain extent with what Anne-Marie was saying about how the judge looked at this child and maybe she thought that perhaps he could be better off in a rehabilitation program as opposed to being in custody with other hardened criminals per se. But when you look at the law, legally speaking, I really don't think it's likely that she's going to change her mind. I think he's going to get a lesser sentence.
You make an interesting point, too, about being immune from public opinion or outcry, and be curious to hear what the judge would say about that. Anna, thank you.
Right.
Anna Yum out of San Diego and Anne Marie McAvoy, former federal prosecutor here out of New York. Thanks to both of you, ladies.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.